Part 1. The client rang me out of the blue. Client fly to Munich and solve a major crisis. I agreed, but after hearing a brief account of what had happened, I wasn't optimistic. I could provide a solution. I was concerned that anything I could do would now be too little too late. 18 months earlier, two famous international companies, one Japanese, the other German, had signed a joint venture agreement to develop, produce, and launch a product that had the potential to capture a whole new market. The joint venture would combine the marketing skills of one company with the technology and design skills of the other. To the board members of both companies, it must have seemed the perfect business marriage. Within weeks of the deal being signed, a group of Japanese design engineers was sent to work alongside a German team of similar size and expertise at the German company's plant in Bavaria. The energy and enthusiasm surrounding the deal was infectious. Within a few days of their arrival, the Japanese engineers were in a state of shock. They found their German collaborators to be rude, inconsiderate, and lazy. The Germans interrupted during meetings and presentations and showed no interest in reaching consensus through the numerous pre-meeting meetings, or very small group meetings that are an integral part of Japanese business culture. The Japanese were intensely uncomfortable with the German way of arguing everything out in front of everybody. For the Japanese, the potential for loss of face was just too big. They also disliked what they saw as the German willingness to go home, even when tasks were unfinished. As for the Germans, they were equally unhappy with the Japanese, who seemed very uncommunicative. They complained that even those who did speak didn't state their opinions clearly and frankly. By the time I was called in, the two sides were hardly speaking to each other. Communication had completely broken down. I did what I could, but it was too late. And sadly, the team was disbanded after a few months. The two organizations should, from the outset, have been alive to the dangers that can arise when teams or individuals from different cultures are suddenly brought together in the workplace. There's plenty of evidence that cross-cultural differences are a major reason why so many of these cross-border joint ventures or other types of business agreements fail. Unfortunately, it's extremely rare for organizations to bother within the nitty-gritty details of how the people lower down the hierarchy or in the new project team will run meetings, make decisions, solve problems, manage staff, and communicate. Yet, all these standard operating procedures, what's known as SOPs, are carried out in lots of different ways by people from different cultures. The trouble is, each culture assumes their way is the normal one. Unexplained deviations from these norms are perceived as, well, deviant or even devious. People start to think, can we trust people from other countries who do things in this strange way? In the case of German and Japanese companies, neither organization bothered to give their people any understanding of the cultural attitudes and behavior of the other side. No attempt was made to get the new team to discuss their differences and similarities. For instance, both the Japanese and Germans generally expect punctuality and clear, detailed agendas. The teams should have had a chance to explore their similarities and differences and establish the best way to work together through a code of practice or SOPs.